Hi, my name's Elly Greeny and I'm the Commercial Director at Transition Partners. We're a tech recruitment consultancy with an office in Leeds covering the UK market and an office based in Berlin. I've worked within tech for the past 5 years and find the market fascinating. I'm really passionate about helping women not only get in tech, but really advance their career with an exciting industry that can provide endless opportunities. I love networking and finding out about other people's stories. I decided to set up the Journey of a Woman in Tech to share knowledge, wisdom, and hopefully have a laugh along the way. Feel free to get in touch on LinkedIn to see how you can get involved. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello everyone and welcome to the Journey of a Woman in Tech. So today I've got a fabulous guest who's just come straight on the Zoom with the best energy ever and pretty in pink today. We've got Rituja Rao. Rituja is an emerging thought leader in the UK tech industry with a background in digital transformation and change management. Currently working as an award-winning IT consultant and project manager at Sparta Global. She was recently awarded the Women on Board Bursary 2020 and is a trustee and board director for Being Woman Charity UK. Rituja is also a tech talent charter ambassador and one of the first 100 women who graduated from Durham University's Tech Up Women program, helping women upskill in tech skills. She is a blogger, writer, and about all things digital. Her latest venture in pipeline is a YouTube channel about skills in diversity and in the tech industry and mental health in early careers. So we're so excited to have you on the show, and I can't wait to hear that it looks like you get up to about everything, like extremely busy lady, but excited to have you on the show. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you. I'm so excited to be here and tell you a bit more about my journey.
I know, I'm so excited to hear it. Looking at your background, it looks so diverse and it looks like you've made some real changes. It's certainly not a linear one, which is what we like to see. A really exciting blend and move into tech. So I'm definitely excited, but let's start with your current role then. Tell us about what you're up to at Sparta Global.
Yeah, so I'm currently an IT consultant and project manager at Sparta Global. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are a company that we tend to kind of take graduates, especially, and retrain them into technology skills, regardless of which background they come from.
Great.
So we tend to work with clients across the country in all sorts of industries. So, for example, with me, I came from a journalism background. So I had a degree in journalism from University of Westminster. And then I worked with Sparta Global. I trained for about 8 weeks in project management, business analysis, and testing, and then kind of accepted my role as project manager with a financial services client based in Northampton. So that's where I am right now. I've been with the client for about 2.5 years. So I like to think that I'm quite good at what I do. It's a very long client project. And, in my role, I started off as a project manager doing like smaller internal changes. And then, I tend to deliver changes for the 3 big banks. So Lloyds, HSBC, and Barclays, projects ranging right from sort of, product changes, process optimization, operational changes, etc. I was a key delivery contributor to, my client's program going away from paper-based checks to digital checks. So, as somebody who's quite young, has never written a check. I actually work in check processing.
You've never written a check.
and I fully understand check processing now, And
yeah, you told me earlier, you're only 23, right? So
that's right.
Super young. Wow, the world is your oyster.
Well, here I am trying to make check processing fun. Within the client side, I basically got, seconded onto a bigger program to do with sort of moving all of our systems into cloud. So I delivered a project with a budget of £1 million to kind of deliver Azure DevOps and DevOps framework capabilities in IPSL. So in my role, we kind of, helped IPSL kind of move their systems up to the cloud, change their development practices, reduce some IT contractor stuff, and all sorts of things. And since then, I've kind of become sort of like a cloud and Azure DevOps SME. It's kind of helping people improving their ways of working. So kind of like, making their waterfall ways of working even leaner. So yeah, I really enjoyed. I find it quite interesting that I came in as somebody, very brand new to technology. And in the 2.5 years, I literally just, managed to kind of get to a point where I work independently as a project manager, end to end, sort of delivering chunky projects, essentially. And for my work, I received 2 awards, one to do with a future star of tech IT manager and a Tech Women 100. And I'm really glad for the recognition in my first 2 years. So yeah,
so awesome. Already such a short space of time, but already some really incredible, amazing achievements there. Already listening to you there, it's clear that you've got a really good way with words. So I think it'd be interesting to go all the way back then, and let's talk about that journey of how you got into tech, and obviously going from journalism to how you got to where you are today. So let's go all the way back and find out your story.
Absolutely. It's my favorite topic to talk about, you know. In fact, my career changed literally right out of uni. So to tell you a bit about me and my personality, I come from India. So growing up in India, I think I was always this kid who, you know, talks a lot. Loves camera, loves being on stage, etc. I was also like quite smart, to be fair. You know, like I got good grades in math and science, and you know, anybody who knows anything about South Asian culture, you know, success really looks like either you're an engineer or a doctor. So I was what you would say right on track to do that. You know? So either way, everybody thought I was super smart. And then I did that for a while. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a NASA astronaut. So that was me.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess I went to this event once. It was a personality contest, and I won the personality contest, to be fair. It was called Horlicks WizKids, and it was with people from all the 5 sort of nations in South Asia, so China, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and India. And yeah, I was at the South Asian finale and I won that. And I realized that, you know, the biggest part of my personality is actually, you know, my communication skills. And more importantly, I like giving people a voice. And I knew that journalism was a career in which you can do that. So I started kind of like, I told my parents, it was a bit hard to probably swallow that I was not doing engineering or, you know, medical. And then I kind of went, no, this is what I want to do. They were really supportive, to be fair. My parents are, you know, the biggest reason why I am where I am. And then I kind of decided I wanted to move to the UK, probably. I thought, you know, media is the best here. And there's a big reason for it. My dream job would be to work at the BBC. So yeah, I moved to the UK. I got a full scholarship to study journalism. So you can imagine my commitment was real. You know, I have been working since I was 15. My first job was to work at Times of India as a student correspondent. So I was I would say committed to that dream. I knew that, you know, I was going to make big changes in the world, kind of being a journalist, kind of changing the world essentially. And once I moved to the UK, it was all great. You know, I was really enjoying my degree. I was getting lots of opportunities. So basically in my first year, literally starting out, I got my dream job. I was an intern at the BBC working on Panorama and Storyville on BBC One. So it was just everything I ever wanted. And once I was doing that, I was hardly there for like 2 to 3 months, but I started seeing how much IT departments and technology were controlling editorial. You know, the world was changing. I was in meetings with Netflix executives and Amazon executives, and I was just seeing how that entire interaction within media was completely changing because of technology. And to be honest, I started feeling a bit frustrated that, you know, that a journalist actually doesn't have a lot of power with regards to what actually gets put out there. So I thought, if I want to really succeed in media and journalism, I'm actually going to have to learn a bit more about technology. So that's when I decided I'm going to go into technology. I genuinely want to learn 2 things: how to run a tech organization, and 2, how to raise funding. Like, that's what it is. I thought project management is a wonderful way of doing that. I also really enjoy consultancy, because then I get to meet lots of different businesses and like really understand how the tech business works. And my aim basically is to kind of do this for a while, fully understand how to run a tech organization, and then, fingers crossed, start my own media tech firm someday. The idea for me is to really revolutionize journalism. And I don't mean sort of like, you know, just media online, like not BuzzFeed and stuff. Basically, I just want to be able to really redefine how news works. So yeah, that's me. You know, that's my journey into technology and why journalism remains my passion.
And I have no doubt that startup journey is definitely achievable for you. It's you seem already, we've only been speaking for a few minutes, but it's obvious you're a force to be reckoned with. So that's amazing. So I'd love to talk then more about like challenges that you faced. Obviously, you've been working in tech now 2.5 years. Challenges you feel like you face as a woman in tech?
Yeah, well, there's a few, I guess. I think starting out as a graduate, it's truer than ever now, post-COVID era. But the truth is, it's really hard to find jobs. So even as a journalism graduate, it was hard to find jobs in journalism, first of all. But also, while I was trying to make that transition, almost every company sort of now says that, you don't need to have a degree and you can still join any graduate program. But the truth is, it just wasn't that easy. I applied to over 153 job applications for grad roles. I went to, I did about 60 interviews. I went to about 4 to 5 assessment days, about 3 final interviews. And I still didn't get a job for a very long time. And
this is just crazy, because you're someone who's won a contest for your personality in South Asia. You're South Asian champion for your personality. You are extreme, like you say, you've graduated from school with, I'm sure, impeccable grades. The attitude that you've got, and even someone like yourself is struggling. Like, this to me is just absolutely mind-blowing. Like, we should be crying out for people with your talent and personality to join our industry.
Yeah, I mean, it really is very hard. I would say, if I were a friend circle, my friend circle, let's say of 20 people, I was the only person who got a job. And this includes people who are international, so they have immigration requirements, which is the hardest part probably. But also,
did you have that requirement then? Did you have to get visa sponsorship?
I did, absolutely. I would say
that is just so difficult as well, isn't it? Like, it's like common, like one of my biggest frustrations as a recruiter.
Exactly. And I think
my job is, I want to help people get into work, and then like there's just so many barriers, and when people require sponsorship, not very many businesses do offer that, and that just makes it so much harder.
I feel like that's a whole different podcast topic if you ever wanted to get into it. But that was my biggest challenge. I think 80% of my battle was just that, finding the right employer. And after having completely doing that for about 4 to 5 months, I finally found myself an employer. So that was amazing, and I was really glad that I was able to make that career change right off the bat. I was able to get into technology, and I'm glad that I got to train, etc. So that gave me a lot of confidence. So I think my second challenge was probably, once I was in the job, it was quite, there was imposter syndrome, of course, from within myself, but there was also a lot of people outside, of my environment who were constantly like, but how did you go from journalism to technology? Don't you require a computer science degree? Like, what is this? How could you be a consultant so young? So there was a constant sort of like, I felt like I had to constantly justify why I'm in the space that I'm taking up. I think one of the biggest blows that I felt was when somebody said to me that, you are a marketing machine. That's all you are. I am quite vocal about my journey. I feel like I'm so privileged and glad that I've been able to make the switch, that I want to help more people make the switch.
And that's what this is all about, right? But being able to speak about that, giving you a platform to be able to discuss that, because that's what we need as
absolutely.
As an industry.
It was really difficult when somebody said something like, oh, you're a marketing machine. That's all you are. You're kind of like a tokenized women in tech. What does that really mean even?
That must be so infuriating.
Exactly. And I think as a young person, it kind of hurts you a lot, because somebody says to you that, oh, you don't have the skills to be where you are. Now that you're here, all you do is, you're kind of like empty noise, basically. Empty vessels make the loudest noise. And
Did you find that was like from your peers then? Like, where's this come from?
My manager. So that was probably even harder, because this is somebody who I work with regularly. Almost. And it was my first graduate role, so it was even harder probably to come from a superior who then kind of has a lot of influence in the organization that you're in. So I kind of really thought about that. I think my response was genuinely just that everything that I do, be it LinkedIn, my blogging, speaking at events, anything that I do is obviously of my own accord. So I'm still doing my work, obviously. Do you know what I mean? This is my side hustle, if you may call that. And secondly, I just said, you watch, I could just, turn up every day, do my job and go back home. And sure, that's a career that'll get me forward. But if this is what I want to do, it's what I want to do. You can't really take that away from me. And I said, a few years later, let's discuss how this has changed it for me. And the truth is,
it would be very different, like you say, if you were doing it in work's time or work were paying for it or something like that. But like you say, everything you've done it off your own back. You've put your energy into it. You've put the time into it. And that is actually one of my frustrations, is when companies, like, they want someone to be, I guess, a token figure for women in tech, for the business, which all companies need, right? Because we all need these women being able to be on a platform and showing what they're up to. But when companies expect you to do it out of your own time and then they'll take the glory for it, that's when it really annoys me, because I'm just like, these people should be paid, like, the amount of time and effort that goes into, like, it sounds like you're doing an amazing job of that, but like, it's just not good enough that these things are like expected of people to do in their own time. Like, it's really like, yeah, the fact that you've had to use that as a point to your manager is really annoying, because that's what I mean. It should be, these are like amazing things that they should want to pay you for, because you're raising the profile for the business and showing how other people can do it, which is incredible.
Yeah, I feel like as a consultant as well, there is that added layer of you're working for a client. So, I mean, that kind of often is on the client side, etc. I'm quite glad to be with a firm who does kind of promote me a bunch. So I think I found the right space for myself now, and I'm very proud of it. And I keep kind of almost like amplifying my journey of, yes, I'm young. Yeah, yes, I'm I'm a woman of color. Yes, I am kind of, like changing careers. Sure, maybe I don't have, a degree to back that up, but I promise you that every time I go into a meeting, I feel like I do prepare twice as hard as anybody else.
I'm sure you absolutely kill it. I can tell that by speaking to you.
And I don't think it shows that, that I can't get something. I just feel like, I've kind of used my imposter syndrome to turn that around for myself. And I feel like if I prepare twice as hard, the truth is I sound, twice more knowledgeable as well. So I've really kind of accepted that as part and parcel of the fact that, yes, I've made a career change, which means I have to constantly upskill. And the truth is, everybody needs to constantly upskill. It doesn't matter.
We're in tech. We're in tech.
This is where you come from. You can learn it. Do you know what I mean? Technology is something that you can absolutely learn. And in a day and age where technology is everywhere, do you expect all people to come from a coding and computer science background? Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. You actually need people who have a diverse skill set, a diverse background, because they'll provide you better solutions. I personally think that I have an edge, alongside people my age, people in kind of like my same early stage careers. I would say I feel like I have that double padding almost of, I bring my communication skills, I bring lots of transferable skills from journalism, and I use it in my tech career, and that almost makes me better.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. Like you say, different life experiences bring different tools. Absolutely. And they might not always be coding, or do you know what I mean? It's different, but by taking the time to learn because you're passionate about what you do, you're clearly killing it, which is awesome. Tell me a little bit about the Tech Up program then and how that worked. Because like you say, you did your degree in journalism, but then Durham University was a course, was it? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, to be honest, one Tech Up Women was the program that completely changed my life, but it wasn't per se, it wasn't like an education for me after. It was more to do with, I was already in technology, and the program, what it does is it takes 100 women, from especially the northern parts of the country. And it was a 6-month upskilling program. It was actually with 4 different universities. So it was Nottingham University, Durham University, York, and Edinburgh. And they kind of curated a 6-month program, which was completely virtual. It almost required 12 hours of your day. It covered right from the basics of technology to like specializations. So I took the pathway of advanced coding and agile project management. People could do data science, business analysis, I can't think, but everything. I learned at least like 3 different coding languages. I kind of really brushed up on my skills, got a full practitioner certification out of that program. And all of these things were amazing about the program. But the best part probably was the fact that you got to go to a residential almost every 2 months in the program, and you got to meet these 100 women. I feel like when I first came into technology, I had no idea about the women in tech community or the concept of
it's awesome, isn't it?
It is, exactly.
I love it. I just love the community side of it. Like for me, it's incredible. And we're really lucky as an industry to have it. And I often find for people that are looking to get into tech, that for them is the most daunting bit, is the community side of it, but so accepting and so welcoming when you try and break through.
And I think that's the best thing, because I feel like joining the program allowed me to have that community very early in my career, literally, when I was starting out, when I was 21. So when I kind of joined them, I got literally 100 women, 100 friends. And the best thing was the lovely woman who started the program, Dr. Sue Black. I'm sure you've heard.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, she's literally, I call like my angel pretty much. And she literally brought her entire network to us. So I feel like I know so many pioneering women in the women in tech industry in the UK, and I've heard them speak. I feel like they know me by name, and I have them on Twitter, I have them everywhere, and I feel like I am a part of that community, if that makes sense. And post the program, after graduating from that program, I have actually went on to work with a lot of my other tech up women. Somebody has a charity, for example, I'm a board trustee on a charity run by tech up women. I do lots of talks with them. I tend to kind of like collaborate on things, etc. So I feel like that community was a program to start off with, quite academic. But what came out of it was, a community that then got attached to the wider network of like different champions. I also got a mentor through the program, who was my first mentor, and her name's Shri Atchison. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but she's, again, a big role model for me. She is the head of diversity inclusion at Pecan right now, and previously at Monzo. I think amazing. Having that mentor who was really young, she was doing amazing things in her career. I really felt like that's representation of me, out there in the industry. And secondly, she really helped me kind of understand the concepts of success and age and the relationship between, the pace of your career, etc. So I really walked away from Tech Up Women with like everything that I have today. So yeah.
And it sounds like you say, by like having those friends and that circle already, when you face a bit of adversity by starting your new role and feeling like being told really that you were lucky to be there, I guess, that having that positive kind of support network probably just really, really helped you progress and made you see through it and past it and the potential. Do you think, actually, interesting question, I guess, do you think like having, obviously you've moved into more project management now and consulting, but do you think having that background in programming, although you've learned, like you say, you haven't got a technical degree, but you have learned sort of 3 different languages, do you feel like that certainly gives you the edge, or do you think it's not essential? Because obviously that does put a lot of people off, I might have to learn how to program.
So I think the way to look at it is that it's helpful, of course, it doesn't hurt, not at all, but is it essential? No, not at all. So for example, with project management or consultancy, there are all sorts of projects. You have projects that don't require technology at all. You have projects that require a lot of technology. And there's, then you're somewhere in between where you have technical teams that you then manage. So, for me, project management was a perfect blend of kind of technology and the business side of it. And something I don't agree with at all is the definition of techie. Like, people who, when you say techie, you kind of think of somebody who codes, and that's not true. I'm a project manager, I'm a technical project manager, and 1, I know a lot about technology now, and 2, I am a very key part of that end-to-end process. If I
yes, I love that. Now, you don't think of it like that. It just can't happen with just the techies. That's not just going to, well, what you think a techie is. If we just had people like that, the product wouldn't get to market.
Exactly,
and the customer wouldn't be able to enjoy the product, which is
absolutely
again what it's all about.
That piece of code would just never see the light of the day. And project manager is one such role. There are other roles. You have business analysts, you have business administrators, you have PMO, etc. And I am hell-bent on kind of completely redefining what techie means. If you do anything in a tech business, you could be a digital marketer, you could be a tech recruiter, you could be, absolutely anybody. You are in the technology industry and hence a techie. That's it.
You're playing a key role. And I love that, because I often, like, when I first started in tech recruitment, I would, like, the first probably like 3-4 years, I'd be like, I'm a recruiter, I work in tech. Whereas now I'm I work in tech, I'm a recruiter, because I know that my role is vital for that tech ecosystem to continue and for people to help the next generation, which brings me really nicely onto my next question around like, what do you think, like what challenges do you think the next generation are going to face, and what can we do to help support them?
Yeah, I think what the next generation will face or is facing, genuinely think, is so I'll put it this way: there's a lot of baggage that comes from a very expensive education. What I mean by that is, in today's day and age, when young people have to pay a lot of money to get a degree and they walk away with a lot of debt, it comes with the baggage of, because I've studied something, I have to keep doing that. Yeah. And if you don't do it, you kind of feel like you are betraying yourself.
Failure. Yeah,
you kind of feel like this is what I wanted to do. So you could have done absolutely anything. You could have done engineering and you want to now work in arts. You could have done arts and you could want to be in engineering. And that's obviously the harder shift naturally. So I think the generation today kind of faces a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of gatekeeping in the spaces you want to get into. And there is this absence of almost empathy, where basically, I think there's a generation who just kind of labeled the new generation as snowflakes, or generation me, where basically it's assumed that we work from anywhere in the world, so we can just fly wherever we want and we can start working. 2, we change jobs all the time because, that's just how easy it is. And that's the media portrayal of it. But the truth is, that's not at all what it looks like. We walk away with a massive student debt. It's very hard to find jobs. Just like I could put statistics into context by saying I have 20 friends. We were a group of 20 people, and literally I was the only one who walked away with a job as soon as uni ended. And I know a lot of them are still not in the jobs they'd like to be in. They've never found the jobs they want to be in. Some of them are struggling, and the worst thing is what they think might get them out of the situation is another degree. And that's not absolutely not what's going to work. And then, they kind of get sucked into different places of kind of feeling like, oh no, maybe I have to do something simpler. I'm just not cut out for something. So I think that barrier is making it even harder for the right talent to walk through the doors. And another thing is that when you kind of have such a big gate that keeps you away, it's not accessible to a lot of people. So it almost naturally eradicates people who, don't have the money to do something. And
who might be the most talented people in the world, but they just need the opportunity.
Yeah, I think that goes quite well into sort of diversity, inclusion. And I think the second challenge is probably technology is going to be everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So if your schools and your curriculums don't kind of almost marry that up with tech skills, then that's not going to help. But there's a problem there. What do we define as tech skills? And I don't think they are a language. They're not a coding language. They're not a certification. They are absolutely nothing to do with another degree. What it is things like problem solving, critical thinking, etc., which I promise you all other professions do as well. So you could be a lawyer, you could be a marketing professional, you could be a sales professional, and you might want to move into technology, and there is space for you. I think nobody talks about that. The industry is amazing, and we often don't highlight all the operations in technology and make it lucrative, especially like you have to make that lucrative to attract more people into those roles.
I'd be interested to see then, like, I think there's big problems with the curriculum in the UK, and you mentioned that. But I feel like in Asia, specifically India, they must get it. They get it so much more right at grassroots level, which just naturally incorporates and brings diversity into the market. Can you tell me, like, why do you agree with that, and why do you think that is, and what can we do better here?
I feel like I definitely agree with it, but I think India, especially, is on the opposite spectrum, where it's a problem as opposed to being a good thing. So what I mean by that is, as an Indian who studied in the Indian curriculum, we had math and science, and I would say it was definitely a more advanced level probably. And, we were learning that right from the beginning, but there's a bit of a tunnel vision there where you kind of think of engineering and medical as being the only viable careers. So what happens is when you put people into that machine of just going, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, they kind of turn out to be robots as opposed to people who kind of think very freely sometimes. So you'll see we have lots and lots of engineering colleges, lots of people who come out as engineers, but they kind of get like very fixated on something called, oh, I'm going to be a developer and that's all I do, So there is that level of kind of diversifying, curriculum in such countries as well, to kind of allow people to, become entrepreneurs, learn about finance, learn about all sides of technology,
creatives,
and not just then focus on building a product.
It's really interesting.
India's doing very well on that front, to be very honest. I love the startup boom in India. I absolutely love what people are doing. And I think it probably comes from a mix of, we tend to kind of do engineering, and then we kind of tend to work for the world pretty much. And then, finally pick different bits of it and come back and create our own company someday. So I think India is definitely getting it right along those lines. And, countries like UK and US can definitely learn something from it. But as a whole, as humanity, we definitely need to change the definition of technology, because it's everywhere. Your fridge technology, your lights are technology. So change it. Like, a technician is important. Somebody who's a mom is very important, because who else knows how to use a fridge best? Having a mom on a team that designs a fridge, I promise you, is the best fridge in the world. And that's all it is. We need to change what tech teams look like. Have everybody from every walk of the world, because it's our technology.
It's really interesting you say that. And I think talking about like the tech boom going on in India and all the exciting stuff, I was actually speaking to an angel investor probably about 2 weeks ago, and he was really investing in the Indian market. And he was talking about how he finds the solutions over there, and he invested in Africa as well, and was saying just so much more creative because of the level of infrastructure is different to Europe, that the design and the solutions that are being created are just so much more creative. It was just like the innovation there. You couldn't even imagine it in the UK, because of where we are in a position for tech at the moment. There's you automatically just think of ideas, you take the easy option and lazy ideas, whereas the innovation is just next level. So it's really interesting to talk about that. And also, actually speaking, I guess going back to that point as well, you were saying how you're kind of got given a career in engineering or doctor, and that's kind of it. Did you find then that, like, what about the other areas of tech? Because that's like one of my most annoying things is like at grassroots level, we're not talking about product owners or project managers or like the different roles in tech. Nothing's being explored. Is if you think of tech, you think of engineers, and that's it. Is that something that's discussed more freely, that we're, or like anything we can take from that would be good?
I feel like definitely more now than before. But I think it's not getting to probably young people very easily. And then not just young people, then young girls, that's another kind of layer to it. So I guess, like, I mentioned that I'm trying to kind of start my own YouTube channel, and
I want to hear all about this.
The aim for that is to really talk about skills diversity. I want to scream about skills diversity. I want to talk about transferable skills. I literally want to compare careers and say what you can bring from this career that you can carry on to.
Oh my God, you're singing to my heart here. I'm so excited to see all this.
I think the best part about it is I want to keep it community focused. So I am also planning to start a community. It's only going to be a meetup group at first, and fingers crossed it scales up and something great happens. But the community is going to be called Gen V. So it's basically a spin on Gen Me, that people call, we're very individualistic, etc. No, but it's called Gen V, and it is specially for early careers. Again, I define early careers as somebody, regardless of age, who's starting out. So you could be 50 and you're starting in technology. You could, and you're still early careers.
And these are the people who just need so much support and help and guidance, and that's why we've really got to raise the profile.
Success is probably, honestly, representation. You will find support, but as soon as you see people who look like you, who talk like you, and you see them doing something, you feel like you can do it as well. And I've seen the benefit of that in my own life. I've seen like my mentors, and I really think about it. I think what makes me motivated, and it's genuinely not money, and it's not like, learning new, having a new degree, or like, getting a feedback in numbers from work. It's genuinely people who kind of tell me what they've done, and they kind of tell me, oh, you can do it too, or I can see myself in them. And that just makes me, it lights a fire inside me. So I'm hoping that I can achieve that with my network. I really feel that young people need more help than ever. They feel very siloed in a world where you kind of feel like your career is predefined. We talk a lot about linear careers. I think you're given that you're given that expectation that your career will be very linear. You will do a degree and then you'll get a job and you'll move on.
That's just what's expected, isn't it, from school? It's like you'll be a teacher and you'll be a teacher forever.
Exactly.
For the next 40 years, you're just going to be like being a teacher is fantastic. I'm not putting down teaching, but I'm just saying that's not the career that people have and that we don't need to have. On average, women have like 7 different careers, right?
Absolutely. And careers start and stop, and you can have multiple ones at any given point in time, and you can start over, basically, you know. We just don't know. And as a young person, I struggle with this till date. I struggled with it a lot a few years ago, but I constantly just feel like I'm a failure. Like I constantly feel like I'm a failure if I'm not, like, you know, so another thing is probably you see people like, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos everywhere. And you kind of think, oh, if I'm not doing this already by, you know, when I'm 21, what's the point? I've already failed. So we kind of have this understanding that life ends at 25. And, you know, which is true. You kind of like, you have this 20.
I hope not, because I'm long gone. You're putting me off.
You know, and it's taken a lot of work for me to change that mentality in myself. And I'm hoping I can take that to more people and allow them to talk about these insecurities and, you know, what they call failures openly, you know, and that's a big part of then mental health
learnings rather than failures, right?
Exactly. And I guess it will just help kind of get that community going, and suddenly you see people who are happier in the jobs that they do, because they realize that there is a bigger picture that's achievable to all of us. You know, something very interesting that you said was you're expected to do something. So, you're expected to be a teacher or an engineer or a doctor. And the truth is those expectations come from stereotypes and backgrounds and, you know, what people are allowed to do and not allowed to do. So changing the environment around you and seeing more people do things that, you know, you thought you couldn't do, can change.
Let's break that mold. I love that. And I think that's really key, because for some reason it was kind of like, it's always seen as when you move and you end up doing something else, it's normally seen like, well, that must have been a failure, rather than this being a fresh start and like a really exciting opportunity, or that you're doing what you're destined to do or what you really want to do. And if that changes multiple times, that's amazing. Like, good for you. Like, what richness is in life is experiences, and by doing different things you're going to have a richer life, and you're going to meet more interesting people and help define the person you are today. So you sound like you have plenty of accolades there, but like, tell me about your greatest achievement today.
Interesting, isn't it? I think my greatest achievement is, I can't pin it down to like an award or like, you know, something that I did or got, literally. So nothing tangible, but what it really is that I think one day I woke up and I realized that my potential is not my job title. And I can genuinely just do what I want to do. I can, you know, like you said, start again. And I've accepted it. So I think it could probably be Tech Up Women, probably, you know, kind of as a changing point where I went, you know what, this is amazing and I can do this, and nobody can tell me what my journey looks like. And I can't compare my journey to somebody else. I can just define it. So for example, now I'm in tech, I do project management. I don't want to stop there. You know, I kind of want to get into VC. I am a mentor. I currently mentor 3 women at the moment, and I want to mentor more people, and I want to start my YouTube channel, and I want to start my community. And the best thing is I want to do it all at the same time. I also want to do an MBA, etc. So just the achievement is realizing that I can do all of these things, because I think for a very long time I didn't know.
That's so good that you've got that confidence. It's incredible. And I feel like anyone you're around, you have a really, I mean, obviously virtually is never the same as meeting people in person, but you've got an amazing energy about you, which I love. What about your role model? Obviously you mentioned Sue, Dr. Sue earlier, and how inspirational she's been, but tell me about your greatest role model.
Amazing. I think it's quite hard again for me to put it to one person. So
let's give you three.
Sure, 3 is easier than I guess Dr. Sue Black, of course, like, you know, as somebody who I think is actively changing the narrative and, you know, touching people's life and giving them real opportunities, like really opportunities that you can touch and feel and see the impact. So she's done Tech Up Women, she's done Tech Moms, Tech Moms, I think. And it's just, I can already see 100 women around me who've been impacted, and I guess myself, you know, I'm a good example of the work she's doing. So Dr. Sue Black, I think second person would, you know, 100% be Sherry Atchison, my first mentor. Shri helped me really think about success in terms of quality as opposed to timelines. I think, growing up, I thought, oh, by 22, I need to be doing this. By 25, I need to be doing this. And if I don't do this, then I've obviously failed and nothing else will happen, basically. And
we do this though when we're so young as girls, like even from the age of like 12, you're like, I want to be married by the time I'm 20. Yeah. And it's just like intrinsic, isn't it? That like even at such a young age, you're setting these stupid bloody timelines that mean nothing.
And I think she helped me. I remember this very evidently. She asked me a question. She said, so imagine if you always put timelines on yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think one of my timelines was probably to be XYZ by 25. She said, if you keep doing that, then you will never be that person at 24. And that completely changed my attitude. I thought, that's true. If I constantly think about achieving something at a certain point, I will never achieve it sooner. And isn't achieving something sooner better than, later? Yeah. And I thought, that's amazing. I've completely, I would say, distanced myself from time now. I do things as they are. I also know that putting in effort right now will definitely, yield results soon. So I've changed completely the idea of time. And I always think of things as consistency. If I do something for a long time, then it will happen for sure.
Sorry, you've got one more, haven't you? Sorry.
I guess my third person, I think it's a joint spot between, I think, 3 women that I really look up to. So Raf Bumrah, June Angelides, and Anne-Marie Mafedon. Amazing people. I'm really glad that these people know who I am, and it inspires me every day that they like me, and they've said, I guess they don't realize it sometimes, but they've said things to me in the past, like just in passing, that made me feel like, oh my God, I am going to be successful. I'm going to be amazing. I remember this one time, probably something with Anne-Marie. I don't think she knows this at all, but she was voted as the most influential woman in tech. Yeah. And I thought, that's so amazing. I remember just retweeting one of her tweets and saying, oh my God, I'm so glad for you. And I'm so glad that I know you and you're my role model. And I remember she just wrote a tweet back and she basically said, you're next Rituja. And, it was just a tweet, but for me, oh my God, I think it was the biggest highlight of 2020. I remember just feeling so good in that moment. And so, these are my role models. They're real people that I have access to. So that's even better.
It was so awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another question then. I think you have got so much energy and so much passion for what you do. How do you stop yourself from burning out?
I guess it's one of the hardest things. I'm still learning how to do that. But I think a lot of people have told me that, if I keep going at the pace I am, I will burn out. And I don't think that was the best advice because it doesn't really help me. But
I agree.
I think so. I have gotten some really good advice from all of my mentors.
Yeah.
And what I try to do now is, one, obviously go away from the concept of time. Yeah, I don't have to achieve something at a certain time. I just have to achieve it.
That takes the pressure off in itself, which is great.
And I think the second thing I'm trying to do, and I've been very adamant on this in 2021 especially, is if I want to do all these things, and the truth is I want to, everybody can tell me to, burn me out, but no, I just want to do it. That's all I know. So I've decided that the only way to do that is to manage my time better, to actually, make windows in my day where I dedicate myself to one thing and I don't look at other things. So it's essentially, it's a way of prioritizing. So I've started doing things like, one, I bought lots of stationery. I have 4 different journals to track different things in my life. And finally, when it comes to time, I've started doing sort of like productivity windows. Yeah. I only do something for 55 minutes and then I walk away from it, and just setting agendas, having a career plan, all sorts of things. So control, I think the way I'm going to deal with not burning out is exercising more control in my life. Because the truth is, if I want to be successful and do all these things, like imagine like having a YouTube channel with a normal job, like, 9 to 5, doing mentoring, doing speaking, all of it. The truth is I need to manage how much time I'm putting in anywhere and consistency. So that's how, but not by doing less. Like, I don't think the answer is by doing less, because that just never helps.
Well, because it sounds like they're all things that you love as well. Like, you don't want to give more time to one thing than another because you love it all, but it's just important that you manage that yourself. So that's really cool. Okay, love that. So I love to end the podcast then with like I guess, like words of wisdom. Like, you're 2.5 years in now. Clearly there's been ups and downs on that journey. It sounds like the highs have been amazingly high and the lows have been low as well. But tell us about some like words of wisdom that you wish you'd have told your younger self, or if you could go back a few years.
I think something that's quite recurring is the fact that say yes to things. You know, it's common to kind of have a plan and say, oh, you know, you kind of like almost have it step by step. You need to do this to achieve a goal. But the truth is, it's just not like that. It's kind of like it moves, you know, different opportunities, different experiences lead to different things. So I feel like I've done this quite often. So I'm glad it's, you know, had an impact, but it's an advice that I give to everybody. It's just say yes to things, because when you do something, you actually don't know the result, and it might lead to something that you like, or most importantly, something that you don't like. And, you know, if there's anything you can do in life, is actually find out what you don't like, so you can, you know, then do things that you do like. I think that would be number one. And probably the second thing would be kind of seek for help or advice, because there are lots of people out there who want to help you. It's very common to feel alone, especially if you're young. But I think finding a mentor is super easy. Finding somebody to just give you some advice is very easy. Just reach out and ask for help and find yourself a mentor. People want to help, trust me.
I think, Pete, I agree with that. I think often I'll speak to, I've been trying to do more and more work in helping people that are looking to move into tech, because I feel like that's just the toughest part when you're moving.
Send them my way. I think that's number one for me. You know, I mentor people on how to get more mentors. Yeah, because I think I'm a good person for that, because I am young. I'm doing this myself. Sure, I'm not Jeff Bezos and I won't tell you about, you know, how to run the world, but I can I can help you move to the next stage of your life. You know, find a new mentor for yourself. And that's what I do with mentoring, actually. I tell people I'm young and I actually have something very important for you. So I
think that's so great. And we've learned so much from you today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, Rituja. If anyone wants to get in touch, what's the best way? Twitter or LinkedIn?
Yeah, so LinkedIn and Twitter are definitely my number twos. And if you kind of like to see a bit more of my personal side, then Instagram, I'm pretty much everywhere, to be fair.
Are you? And now you're going to be all over YouTube as well. So I'm going to be a keen follower. I can't wait to watch your journey. And like you say, that future of media tech, I imagine, is not very far away at all, but you're a budding entrepreneur. And I'm really excited to keep an eye on your journey. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
See you later.
See you.